ideas from a cooperative project for acquiring skills essential to learning.
Welcome to the Security Chipmunks, the podcast where we keep chipping away at it. I'm your host, Edna Johnson, and today we have a special guest, James Baierle from SecurePoint Solutions. Introduce yourself, James.
Hey, thank you, Edna. Appreciate being on the podcast. Yes, I'm James. I am the founder of SecurePoint Solutions. We are a small business focused managed security service provider. And when I say small business, I mean like your kid's daycare center with their 2 computers or your favorite barista. We help companies as small as 1 employee all the way up, just trying to give them as good a security as a bigger enterprise environment would have.
Yeah, that is so important. We have so many small businesses in the United States, and a lot of them, they can't afford like the enterprise level cybersecurity tools that larger companies have access to. So what do you think is the biggest challenge that small and medium businesses are facing right now?
Yeah. So one thing that we see still a lot of is that there's still a lack of awareness that they indeed are targets. I get a lot of people to say, well, we're too small to be hacked. And then I ask, how do you go about letting the bad guys know? Because I could maybe do that for all my customers. Just say, hey, they're too small, leave them alone. It doesn't work like that. So having to educate small businesses that, yes, those things do exist. They do apply to them as well as the big companies. And then also, kind of just talking about just making that budget stretch where, their idea of a security budget was 5 licenses of Norton or something like that. And, helping them understand that that's not going to 100% help you. You do need a little bit more things in this day and age. But we can help you with that. Also, small businesses are likely or seem to be most targeted, especially with social engineering, phishing, things like that. So really trying to keep bad emails at arm's length is super critical.
Yeah, absolutely. Social engineering, that is like one of the most targeted things now with so many new ways that people can be targeted. There's, like the click fix, or Cloudflare has like a social engine. Well, not Cloudflare itself, but threat actors pretending to be Cloudflare. Or there's like deep fakes now.
Yep.
So what do you think businesses that don't have the budget to have these awareness campaigns, what are some of the things they could do to try to protect themselves from these novel social engineering attacks?
So I think one thing is that if you don't have an IT representative or company or anything that can help you, go out and look at some of the information that like the FBI puts out about preventing scams. I think even FEMA now has some of that, social engineering prevention or, phishing prevention, and then print out a few things, have a lunch. You're going to probably host a lunch for your employees. So do it as a lunch and learn where you just all kind of talk about your concerns. Don't make it feel like it's really training, and make it feel more like it's everyone collaborating on thinking ahead, thinking how they could prevent further issues. It's a little bit of what we do with our own clients. We don't just hand them training and tell them good luck. We try to have more open conversations about it. And it seems to work.
Yeah, that's great. I like the lunch idea because, like, who doesn't love going out for lunch? Free lunch is always a good way to get people to participate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or like coffee. I love coffee. Hey,
3rd cup for the day.
nice. I can't drink that much anymore because it
Yeah.
will keep me up all night. Yeah. So when you were starting your company, what was the motivation for starting the company and for getting into this area of cybersecurity?
Yeah. So I was already kind of on a security journey when I had started it, probably for a couple years. I'd worked for another company previously, and overall, the security culture, the just everything, it was starting to wear on me. Um, I became a little bit vocal about it, and they felt that my talents should maybe go elsewhere, and it was sort of a blessing in disguise. So I started SecurePoint because I felt that maybe my way isn't necessarily better than other ways, but I feel that it's going in a direction of how we provide security and how we look at it. It's going in the direction that it needs to, and uh, we continue to bring in clients. We continue to have customers that are very thankful for the services that we're able to provide, and it's just something that we're gonna continue.
Excellent. Um, so looking forward, I know that you've been expanding SecurePoint Solutions. Do you have any big goals for the future? Like, what does the next 5 years look like for you?
So the next 5 years, first off, is, I mean, just continue to grow. There's 13 million businesses in the United States that have 9 employees or less, and a vast majority of those are like 1 and 2 person companies. Now, as much as I'd love to be able to support all of them, we definitely want to support as many as we can, as many that we can reach out to and help out and help them before things get out of hand. We all know that proactive is better than reactive. Um, Other goals, we want to increase our work study cohort program, our internships, our scholarships, branch those out into other areas of the U.S. Right now, we're kind of focused on the places where our employees live, work, and play. So, I have an employee in Florida. We're helping them out, but as we grow, try to continue to pay back into this community, and help grow the next crop of security professionals.
Very nice. So that kind of leads me to the next questions that I wanted to ask you about was, breaking into the field. And I know that you run a work study program and also you used to be a cybersecurity instructor. So with that kind of leadership that you have in the community, what do you think in the current cybersecurity environment? Like what should people be doing and working on trying to break into the field?
So the two big pieces of advice I give to everybody that comes to me is, first off, you are not going to be the super elite red team pen tester for some company right out the gate. A company that does both SOC services and pen testing. The SOC service team probably it's 10 to 1 the number of people, just because you need so many people to run a SOC, but you really only need one pen tester if you're only doing one pen test at a time. So have an idea that you're going to fall into those junior level roles, um, and just expect that. Now, there are places where you can break out into areas that are maybe considered a little more involved than what a entry level person should be, but just understand that what you want to be and where you're going to start are going to be vastly different. Um, the second piece of advice: learn to communicate. Writing is what gets us paid. If you're a pen tester and you created some really cool exploit and you popped popped the box and you got in and all that, that's awesome. You'll get high fives all around. But if your report is terrible, they're not going to pay you, or they're not going to pay you the next time, or something like that. If you can't communicate impact, if you can't communicate to people that are outside of our industry, you need to work on that. If you don't have a blog, start one. If you're doing things like Try Hack Me, or if you're on some sort of a journey, just start a blog. Doesn't have to all be like Try Hack Me walkthroughs. It could be just other cool things. And that's the one requirement we have for our cohort members, is that you have to blog, because that's how I can at least look at it. Look at how you're doing on things. So those are the two real big things. And then there's so much free training out there. Just, find the free training that works for you, and run with it.
That's really good advice. So I love that you said, writing is a good skill to have, because I know that a lot of the stuff that I do, when I write about it, it gets sent up the chain so my superiors can see what I've been doing, and it reflects back on me, like what activities I've been doing and what they need to be caring about. And if things don't get written down, they don't know about it, and then they don't see the value that you're creating. So that is such a good advice. And blogs, they do help you stand out professionally as well.
Absolutely.
And they can get you jobs. So
when I talk to people that are interested in applying or anything, those are my questions. Do you have a blog? Do you send me a link for it? I want to look it over. Do you have any sort of home lab, or have you thought about it, or how would you design it? Because I also know that no matter what you do, a home lab is going to cost you more money than you currently expected. So it's never a $0 thing, whether it's licenses or hardware. So I understand that not everybody can do a home lab, which is part of the reason why we have one for our work study program. But I also, I want you to be able to tell me, like, what kind of stuff, if you had the dream home lab, what would you want to build out and do? And it's useful information for us to determine really, your interest and where it lies.
absolutely. That's definitely good advice. And I like that you're giving suggestions on how to start for free, because when you're trying to find a job, you often don't have the money for all of the things that help you get the job and help you getting the experience that you get on the job. So that is a good idea. So when you were breaking into cybersecurity, what was it that made you passionate about the field, and how was your experience breaking in?
So, I think where the passion kicked in was I was previously in the Navy, so there was always the going after bad guys kind of concept in the work that I did. I did operations, threat intelligence, that kind of stuff. So seeing how security is more of a, blue versus red, good versus bad, it really kind of made me realize that I don't need to learn how to, um, reload firmware for this printer, or I don't need to worry so much about creating high availability for VMware. I was on a system engineer, sysadmin track with my career. And then I got into a little bit of risk assessment work. And finally I'm like, no, security speaks to me. And my path of getting into IT in general was not not the most usual. I ended up having to go overseas and working to get any sort of marketable skills in the IT realm, and was lucky enough that I could actually use them and get to stay on.
Wonderful. So you and I, we we first met in person at a conference. I believe we had interacted online before then, but do you think conferences are helpful to people breaking into cybersecurity?
Yes, they are. And really, the ones that I'll throw out there, like find your local B-sides or find a B-sides that you're willing to drive for. Typically, they're 1 day only. So if depending on driving, you don't have to stay over. The tickets are relatively inexpensive, and they're just they're that grassroots kind of way to get into a conference. You can go, and then with the price and with everything, if you feel that okay, there's too many people, I'm out. You don't have to feel bad about walking away after spending $20 to go to a conference. And also, the people that you're going to meet are really they are your local peers for the most part, especially the organizers. And it's also a great way to meet meet people from outside your region. One person that really got me started on this path spoke at a B-sides, and he works for um, CyberArk and lives in Texas. He flew up and talked about the history of ransomware, and that talk alone, I was sucked in. I was like, yes, taking notes, just all the way down. So yeah, do a conference. Um, Another good thing too is volunteer for a conference. If you're not as peoply, or you feel intimidated by sitting in on talks or something, volunteer. Help out to set things up, and it'll give you an opportunity to start giving back into the community. But yes, the smaller conferences are amazing. Don't ever feel pressured to have to go to like DEF CON. Like there'll be people will say, well, if you haven't made your pilgrimage to DEF CON, you're not really a professional. No, I'm okay with somebody who just absolutely doesn't want to go to DEF CON, because I get the reasons why somebody wouldn't. And so stick to the local stuff. Make it fun.
I can tell you that going to DEF CON, it's so hot. It Las Vegas in August, it's an oven. It's like you're in a dry oven. So yeah, I get people not wanting to go there, and there's also a lot of people. I still love going, but I can definitely see the drawbacks from it.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like for you, you went to actually do things for DEF CON, not just walk around and observe. So I think if you maybe weren't doing the social engineering stuff or the other things, you might kind of look at it like, okay, this is like the fifth line I've been in all day, and I now have to do this, and I'm sure you experienced some of it because it's not like you were participating in your thing the entire conference. But I'd have to imagine that there were definitely some times where you're like, can we just skip ahead to the part where I'm presenting or doing whatever?
Yeah. Well, I tend to do a lot at DEF CON. Sometimes it's just a little too much.
we have to know ourselves, and especially when you're volunteering and things like that. I've definitely burned myself out from conferences, and I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah. Call that volunteeritis.
Yeah.
You got the bug. You got the volunteeritis. Don't worry, I have that too. I volunteer everywhere. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, and B-sides, you mentioned that. I love B-sides. You know that because I'm the volunteer coordinator for my local B-sides. Um, and that is a great way to get exposure and meeting people in your community and networking to get a job. If your goal is to get a job in your community, that is a wonderful way to do it because people will notice the helpers and they appreciate
absolutely.
it. Yeah. All right. So you have a passion outside of cybersecurity. And I really wanted to make sure that you get a chance to share that with our listeners, because I think it's a good mission that you have. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I'll let you jump in and talk about that.
Sure. So, my wife and I, we made the decision about 10 years ago now that we were going to get into foster care. Um, we uh, we'd seen other people around us in our neighborhood, in our church, that were doing it, and they were open about the good things, the bad things, the things they wish they knew. And so we went through the process. And going through the process, you realize you realize a few things about yourself. You realize a few things about society, and it is an amazing way to help people. So I'm just going off of statistics that I remember. There's about a shortage of 200,000 foster beds in the United States. So across the U.S., there's about 200,000 kids that are either in shelters or they are in not the most suitable situations. Maybe they're still living with their biological parents, but they're old enough to maybe take care of themselves to a point. They may be staying with elderly grandparents who it's not that suitable for them. So there's a massive need, and I always tell people, like, the first rule that they teach you is know your family, know what you're capable of handling. So as we went through the process, we realized what areas were going to be difficult for us to do, whether it was because of our work life balance that was already there. At the time, my wife and I both worked in offices, so we couldn't really take care of a kid that was medically needy, or something. We'd have to find a different path for. But the other thing you can do is that a lot of states, they have what they call respite care. Respite care is an awesome way to kind of get your toes into foster care. You go through the process, but then respite care is typically you watch a foster kiddo or two or five. You watch them for, say, like a long weekend, because the foster parents that have had them, they need to go out of state for a vacation, and the kids can't travel, or they have to go because there's like a death in the family. So it's a break away from the assigned foster care family, and they go to another one that's licensed. The cool thing is that you don't have to necessarily worry about getting attached, because you know that those kiddos are showing up Thursday night and they're going to go home Sunday night. It's almost like hosting a slumber party for new kids. You can kind of spoil them a little bit, love on them, get them their favorite snacks, those kind of things. The other cool thing about doing respite care is that you are getting unfiltered information about these kiddos from the people that have been caring for them 24/7. When we have spoken to caseworkers, they don't always know the story. So they might say, well, this kid has this condition, but nobody has seen it for like the last 24 months. And then the day after, the kid has a seizure because of his condition, and you're completely like, what the heck? Like, why did it have to happen today? So, and that was actually something that did happen to us. So usually the licensing process, the things they look at is they look at your, how were you raised as a kid? How were, what were like family traditions? You go through a variety of case studies, understanding different groups. So LGBTQ foster kids are often, they've had trouble with placements over the years. So that's been a focus of where they talk about that. There's also the just the whole thing of, the kids that are they're going to go home to their parents. So you have to understand that there's not always the option to adopt. We fostered a handful of kids over the years, and then we had a set of siblings that came to us, 3 of them, and we really didn't know what was going to happen. And probably about 10 months in was when we realized that they would be eligible for us to adopt. And so we adopted them. And although we don't do foster care anymore, we're advocating for it. We still give our time, talent, and treasure into foster care programs around here. But absolutely, and it doesn't matter. You know, married, unmarried. You have an apartment, you have a house. I know here in Iowa, the things they were worried about is your septic tank too close to your well? Do you have lead-based paint? And do you have an actual bedroom for a kid? They can't just crash on your couch. So that was it. Anyone can foster if you have the heart for it. And I will step off my soapbox now.
Thank you. Oh, I just love hearing about that. Helping foster kids and going through the adoption process you did. That's very heartwarming. I appreciate what you and your wife are doing.
They're great kids. You actually will get to meet them as long as they don't act up. I've warned a couple of them that I'm not afraid to cancel their tickets.
Yeah.
I mean, all kids can be, a pain sometimes, but yeah, there's If you see less of us, you'll know why.
Gotcha. Yeah, it'll be great to get to meet the whole family.
Absolutely.
All right. And with that, that's our episode. Thank you so much, James, for being on the show. I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to be here with us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. And for our listeners at home, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click all the buttons. Helps us out with the show. And we'll catch you next time. Keep chipping away at it.